they are having an impact. And we need to be cognizant of that. One part that they missed, of course, is a discussion we're having on my table, was that this winter in Europe, people are going to die because of energy poverty. And I saw no sympathy from those groups about people this winter weren't able to afford to heat their homes. We are, because of a lack of gas in Europe, Europe is burning more coal now than ever. We're actually increasing emissions. And if we are serious about decarbonising, it'll be this industry that leads that transition, in my opinion. And we have to start thinking about it. The previous roundtable set a series of challenges. And those challenges were basically the brainchild of former politician. Those of you who know Barry, he passed away in July after a long struggle with illness, which was compounded, of course, with the isolation of COVID. But Barry was a great innovator and industry leader. And what he realised was the power of government working in collaboration with industry can do remarkable things. We can do remarkable things. For example, I'll give you one real-life example that maybe some of you realise, some of you don't realise. It's the sealing of the Strathspey track and the building of the Joyful Lurch Bridge. Those initiatives were pushed by Barry for a number of reasons. The Joyful Lurch Bridge was to keep the country connected in case of flood or disaster. So Western Australia and the Eastern Seaboard, if the Joyful Lurch Bridge was taken out in Port Augusta, was unconnected by road. So that was an important thing to make sure that in the 21st century that our country is actually connected by dual roads with redundancy. The second was sealing the Strathspey track. The sealing of the Strathspey track is a massive piece of infrastructure that is a direct result of the Roundtable in 2012. It shows you the power of what a Roundtable can do. Now there are new challenges that are going to be facing you here today, which we're going to ask for your assistance. And unashamedly, it is going to be about decarbonisation, but it's also going to be about making sure that we get carbon capture storage right, we prove up its feasibility, what is it we can do to assist. We do need to get more gas out of the ground. There is no question of that. There needs to be a transition. I don't know how long that transition will last, will take, but I do not believe that we can stop this industry and just move on because it is unfeasible. We have to be the adults in the room. And the adults in the room in this conversation is going to get harder and harder and harder because of what you just saw, what happened downstairs. That's not stopping. Now, you know, in a really sort of rude and personal way, I talked about my daughters. Now, my daughters are being taught in schools, in private schools, that all the gas exploration is bad for the country and bad for the environment. And it shocked me to my core when my daughter said, "Daddy, you're not involved in getting oil out of the ground." I said, "I simply am. Absolutely I am." And this year, this industry is going to provide a record level of royalties to our community and decarbonise our community and help in that transition. It's a good thing. And if we want a renewable future, we don't need less mining, we need more mining. We need more critical minerals. We need more copper. And carbon capture storage is a technique and a science that this industry has been doing in South Australia for 50 years, which we've been regulating for 50 years through leadership of people like Barry and these changes to the Petroleum Geothermal Act. Now, we are bringing in new pieces of legislation. We'll be consulting with you on those pieces of legislation. First of all, there's the Hydrogen Energy Act, which I want your views on, which is about making sure that we regulate in an orderly way the production of renewable energy, production of green hydrogen, its use, its storage, and its export. So it will be opening up the Petroleum Geothermal Act as well to make sure that we keep on improving. So I want to keep on improving this industry because ultimately it needs to be firing on all 8 cylinders, to use a really poor pun, given what happened downstairs. There's nothing I want to raise that's coming at you at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Those of you who know Jeff Dimmery, who's the Chief Executive of Alinta Energy, made a public statement that power prices across Australia will increase by 35%. My estimate is probably a bit higher than that. And I can assure you that if a default market offer from the Australian Energy Regulator comes out in February of next year that has double-digit increases that start with a 3 or maybe even a 4, the regulatory consequences of that could be dramatic on this industry. So what I'm talking about is if Australian consumers are faced with a power price increase of 35 to 40% in 1 year, governments will act, and they may act irrationally. This industry needs to be prepared for what's coming at you. You have a partner in the South Australian government. And as that's coming at you, we need to be armed with information. Because the easiest people to blame are the producers. Now, you'd be surprised to know that we don't actually have that much information about contract liquidity within the Australian energy market. We have a bit, we can talk through our royalties, what's going on, but by and large, we don't actually know what AGO is buying its gas for, what they're selling their power for. We don't actually know how much Origin is paying for its coal. We're not buying it from itself. So there are a number of things that will be coming up, and this industry needs to be ready to answer those questions. At the change of government, you saw the trigger, which was being negotiated through a heads of agreement with the Commonwealth government and the industry. And the solution that came up was a practical one. In my personal view, I think the Commonwealth, quite frankly, targeted domestic producers rather than East Coast producers, rather than looking at their own backyard with production that they have offshore. And if we're going to have a national trigger, it should be a national trigger, which means that the Commonwealth government has a role to play with its royalties and the gas it produces, rather than pushing all that responsibility on domestic providers. Because quite frankly, if South Australian gas is going to be reserved because New South Wales won't mine for gas, I won't be part of that. This government will not participate in allowing governments like New South Wales to lock up their resources and demand that our community, that our state send our gas away from customers who got the exploration in, who got the investment in, to meet their needs because they don't have the courage to do what we did. So this is all coming at us, and quite frankly, we'll be completely frank, I don't know what the answer is. But next year is going to be a torrid year for this industry. We are looking to the future. There are innovative companies in South Australia like Beach and Santos that are looking at carbon capture storage and blue hydrogen. And despite some people remember thinking this is just a key way of getting more petrochemicals out of the ground, or hydrocarbons out of the ground, I don't think that's true. I think that they are serious about making sure that we develop a new industry. And if we can capture carbon capture storage, and the CSIRO is working on that with Santos and Beach now, if we're able to prove up this technology in terms of direct air capture, that could be a game changer. A complete game changer. And we are supportive of that in this state, and as is the Malinauskas state government. We're also supportive of blue hydrogen. Blue hydrogen is another example of where activists are attempting to attack this industry, and I think unfairly and irrationally. It's inherently inefficient just to produce blue hydrogen to burn the hydrocarbons getting out of the ground. But if we can carbon capture storage at the same time, we are actually producing a green product. So we should not ignore that and take advantage of that. If we get the price right, it can work. Now, Sam Crafted, who I introduced before, the duck noises were being made downstairs, is going out to tender at the end of the year for the government's green hydrogen package, which I think is very exciting. And I say this in advance, we may fail. but we are pushing the envelope again. I've always been supportive of this issue, but I've always been supportive of renewables because to me they make intuitive common sense as a good solution. And I've always thought the solution to renewable energy is storage, because it's not dispatching. So storage is the key. And storage is an efficient way of dealing with energy. So when we built the Hornsdale Battery Reserve, quite frankly, South Australia was mocked. 100 megawatt grid-scale storage, it only works for a few hours or 75 minutes, whatever their accusation against it is. This is the point. Grid-scale storage now is the template for every jurisdiction around the world. It's not just happening here now, it happens everywhere. It's not a tourist attraction. It is a real tool and piece of arsenal in our kit to deal with intermittent renewable energy. Because battery storage isn't about just storing energy, it's about fast frequency response to stabilised grids, which is very, very important. And it can do it better and faster than any thermal generator in the grid. So it's important technology. The next step will be green hydrogen. Now, South Australia is a gas state. Always has been, always will be. This has been transitioned from coal in the last half of the last century. And we have a lot of infrastructure here that is based on gas. I'm talking about our generators. Now, there are two ways we can do this transition. We can sweat our existing infrastructure harder and make it work for us. We can have a really expensive transition where we're putting in completely new kit to decarbonise. If we can prove up that we can blend hydrogen and gas in existing combined cycle or open cycle turbines, that is a game changer. And if we can run a turbine on 100% hydrogen, that is a big win for the Western world. A massive. Think of the savings in the transition. Now, yesterday, I was being warned by my department that we were going to have a constraint on the Hayward interconnector. And because of the weather, we were going to overproduce renewable energy and have something occur called net negative demand, which meant that we were going to turn off solar panels across South Australia, starting with our solar farms, then our wind farms, and then rooftop PV, just turn it off. Power prices yesterday were being paid about $98 a megawatt hour to take power on the wholesale market yesterday. And the best we can come up with right now is just to turn that power off. What a wasted opportunity. What a wasted resource. Which is why we want to build an electrolyser as a sponge to make hydrogen cheaply, store it, and when power prices are high, the sun's not shining, the wind's not blowing, for whatever reason, it's very renewable energy, which puts lower power, puts down pressure on prices. And we'll be creating a government business to operate that generator and that electrolyser. We'll be contracting exclusively with renewable resources in South Australia to bid into the market to lower power prices for South Australia as a model. If we can prove this up and make it work, I think it will be a game changer. I recently come back from Japan and Korea with the Premier, and the appetite there is dramatic. And there are basically three trains of thought in Japan and Korea. One is ammonia, green ammonia, which they want to use to supplement coal in their coal-fired generators. Now, I'm not sure if that actually works. They claim it does. The other, of course, is liquefied hydrogen being exported directly from Australia to Japan and Korea. I think that's probably very optimistic. But the Japanese have funded trials in Kawasaki Heavy Industries and have built ships and infrastructure that can liquefy hydrogen at -253 degrees Celsius and transport it. Maybe it will work. Maybe not today, but maybe eventually. Then, of course, there's MCH, which is another way of transporting hydrogen. I'm not sure which method will work. What I am sure is that South Australia has been part of that conversation. Because what we have in abundance isn't just oil and gas, even though it is declining. What we do have is the best wind and solar resources in the world. I mean, we are blessed in this state with those resources, and we would be letting our citizens down if we did not exploit them properly. And I think we are about to embark on a truly remarkable transformation. But through that transition, we need you. There's no question about it. Someone said to me earlier today, the South Australian government, Labor orbit, has always been very pragmatic. And that's a good way of describing who we are. I take no pleasure in global warming, or climate change, or whatever terminology it is you want to use. I don't enjoy burning fossil fuels for the sake of burning fossil fuels. We do it because we need to, until we don't. And I don't know how long we have before we don't need to do it, because there are so many applications that we might yet found replacements for. We need to be sensible about this, or we are going to be sensible. So I need your help, and that's why we call this roundtable. And that roundtable is about making sure that we have the right regulatory tools in our kit to make sure that we can do the right thing by you and your industry, to give you investment certainty, to protect your investments, to help us decarbonise, to firm our renewable resources, to decarbonise, to capture carbon and store it safely, hopefully for millions and millions and millions of years. And while at the same time improving, as you have over the last 50 years, the wealth and prosperity of our state, which is what this industry has done for Australia for over a century, since it started exploring in the 1950s, we've improved our standard of living. So I'm sorry I haven't given you more structured remarks that I was planning to give downstairs, but this is the type of disorderly transition we're in. Now I have to go to Parliament, unfortunately, relatively soon, but I'm looking forward to staying to hear a few more words from Tony, as long as I can. He's going to inspire me, no doubt, to make changes, but I'll just leave you with this one thought. South Australia and the South Australian government has the back of this industry. We support you, but we also have the back of the renewable industry. We support them. And we see them as our future. And we are going to develop them. And we want to develop here in South Australia. We want electrolyzers made here, we want advanced manufacturing, we want to add complexity to our economy. But when power prices go up next year, this industry has to be ensured that it is not the scapegoat. So I'm going to need your assistance to know exactly how we can tackle that and tackle it quickly without there being silly and unforced and short-sighted government decisions across the country to deal with. Thank you very much for your time. I apologise for those things.